Everything was perfect, or so it seemed. The restaurant shimmered with candlelight. Laughter echoed across the private terrace. And a happy birthday, Melissa banner fluttered gently above a lavish table decked with gifts and a custom three-tier cake. Friends gathered, clinking champagne glasses, celebrating the woman of the hour. Melissa glowed in a crimson dress, soaking in the compliments, camera flashes, and curated affection from everyone, except one person, her boyfriend Jason. Jason sat calmly, almost too calmly. He had spent the last week carefully planning this party, making sure everything was flawless. Because tonight wasn't just a birthday celebration. It was an unveiling. 2 weeks earlier, Jason had stumbled across the truth. A suspicious message on Melissa's iPad while she was in the shower. A simple "last night was amazing" red heart. That's all it took to unravel everything. Curious and cautious, Jason didn't confront her. He dug deeper. Messages, photos, receipts, hotel bookings under fake names. Not just one guy, two. One of them even showed up at her gym every morning pretending to accidentally run into her. Jason felt everything from fury to heartbreak. But instead of screaming, he started planning. Now, as Melissa opened her last present, a small velvet box she assumed was jewelry, Jason stood. "Before we wrap up," he said, clinking his glass, "I just want to say a few words." Melissa beamed, expecting a proposal. "I've loved Melissa for 3 years," Jason began, looking around the room. "She's beautiful, ambitious, and smart. But more than anything, I believed she was loyal. Turns out, I was wrong." A hush fell. Glasses paused midair. "I found out Melissa has been cheating. Not once, not twice, but for months with multiple guys. Including," he turned to a man at the far end of the table, "Brandon, your personal trainer, right?" Brandon's face went pale. Melissa froze. "Jason, what the hell?" Jason held up a hand, pulling out his phone. He tapped the screen, and behind him, a projector flickered on. Photos, screenshots of messages, even time-stamp hotel bookings appeared like damning bullets. Gasps erupted. A few friends got up, awkwardly excusing themselves. Brandon was already halfway to the door. "You invited everyone you love, Melissa," Jason said quietly. "So I thought they should know who you really are." She lunged at him, but he stepped back. "Oh, and one more gift." He reached into his coat and placed a manila envelope on the table. "Your stuff. Moved out of my apartment. Have a nice life." He turned and walked away, leaving Melissa in the ruins of her own celebration. Cake untouched, candles still burning, and every eye in the room watching the fire instead of the flame. For Jason, it wasn't just about revenge. It was closure, gift wrapped in truth. Melissa stood frozen, her hand trembling near the envelope. The entire room buzzing with shock and whispers. "Jason, wait!" she called out, her voice cracking. But Jason didn't stop. He walked out the terrace doors and into the night, leaving behind the woman he once loved and the chaos she created. One by one, people began to excuse themselves. Some avoided eye contact with her. Others didn't bother hiding their disgust. Her best friend, Kim, lingered for a moment, conflicted. "I warned you," she muttered before walking out. Melissa slumped into her chair, her birthday crown now a symbol of humiliation. She tore open the envelope with shaking fingers. Inside were printed screenshots of the text messages. Every conversation, every lie. Even the one where she had joked with Brandon about how clueless Jason is. That one cut the deepest. There was also a short letter in Jason's handwriting. "Melissa, I didn't do this to humiliate you. I did this to finally free myself. I gave you love, loyalty, and the best of me. You gave me lies. So I gave you the truth. I hope someday, when the noise fades and the spotlight dies down, you understand what you lost. Jason." She read the letter twice, then pressed it to her chest as if trying to absorb the parts of Jason she destroyed. 1 month later, Jason stood on the balcony of his new apartment, sipping coffee as the city buzzed below. He was different now, lighter, clearer. He had started running again, joined a startup accelerator, reconnected with old friends. Therapy helped too. His phone pinged. Unknown number. "Hey, I know I have no right. But I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. You didn't deserve what I did. Happy late birthday." He stared at the message for a long time. Then, without a word, he deleted it. No anger. No reply. Some lessons don't need to be screamed. Sometimes, the best revenge is silence. And living a life they can never reach again. Jason hadn't thought much about Melissa lately. The space she once occupied in his mind had been reclaimed by purpose. His app, Nova Mind, had just secured seed funding. Investors were impressed not only with the product, but with Jason's clarity, confidence, and focus. Pain, it turned out, made a hell of a fuel. One Thursday afternoon, while waiting for a pitch meeting in a glass-wall boardroom, Jason received a DM on Instagram from a familiar name. Melissa saw the article on Tech Insider. "You always were brilliant. I never said it enough. Just want to say congratulations." Really, red heart. He didn't open it. Didn't need to. The preview told him everything. That old version of him, the one who might have longed for her approval or wondered what might have been, was gone. He had mourned, healed, and outgrown her. Instead of replying, he opened his photo app and looked at the most recent picture. Him, laughing with Elise, a UX designer he'd met at a networking event turned spontaneous coffee date. Elise didn't ask about the past. She asked about the future. That night, Jason and Elise sat across from each other at a rooftop lounge. She had her legs tucked beneath her, listening as Jason described how close he came to marrying the wrong person. "I thought she was a dream," he said. Elise smiled softly. "Sometimes it takes losing the wrong one to recognize the right one." He nodded. "I didn't lose her. I let her go." Meanwhile, Melissa's phone buzzed again. No replies. Not from Jason. Not from Brandon either, who had ghosted her weeks ago. Her follower count had dropped. Her influencer deals had dried up. She was working a part-time marketing job and trying to rebuild a brand that now came with a shadow. Rumors from her birthday party had leaked. Some mutual friends had even cut her off. She scrolled through Jason's Instagram again, where his smile now looked real, fulfilled, strong. She bit her lip and shut the app. Regret, she realized, isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet echo of a door you slammed that you can never open again. 1 year later, the conference hall was packed. A giant banner read, "Future Tech Founders Summit 2026. Jason stood on stage in a tailored suit, calm and charismatic, addressing an audience of innovators, investors, and industry giants. Behind him, the NovaMind logo shimmered on the screen. "We build our greatest breakthroughs," Jason said, "not despite betrayal, but because of it. Some losses aren't setbacks, they're redirections." The crowd erupted in applause. As he stepped down, shaking hands, taking selfies with young developers, a woman lingered near the exit. Sunglasses on, trying to blend in. Melissa, she hadn't meant to come. She told herself it was just curiosity, but in her gut, she knew it was more. She wanted to see if he'd moved on, if he still remembered, if he'd ever look at her the same way again. He did see her. For half a second, their eyes met across the room. She gave a faint smile. Jason didn't smile back. He turned to Elise, now as head of product and the woman who had been there since the relaunch. He took her hand, kissed her cheek, and whispered something that made her laugh as they walked offstage together. Melissa stood frozen. For the first time, she wasn't angry. She wasn't sad. She was irrelevant. She thought he'd broken her world by exposing her. But the truth was, she was never the main character in his story. He was just waiting for the real one to arrive.